and we should be there any second now.
I'm always there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that meant.
I don't know either.
I mean, oh, yeah. Don't know what you meant.
I tried to make it sound sexual.
It done it for me, mate. It was good. Right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Anyone who's actually sat patiently waiting. And we're early for the first time literally ever, so I'm impressed. 6 minutes early.
Someone will complain about it. They'll be like, well, I missed it. You guys were 5 minutes early.
Yeah, of course someone will complain about it. That goes without saying. How you both doing? You all right?
Good, mate. You?
Yeah, pretty good. I've enjoyed this evening very much, which I know we're going to talk about. So, we'll give it a minute, and then we'll get into. I know we're early. Hi guys, hi. We're changing a few things, but I'm going to let Go sort of do the intro, and we'll introduce. I mean, he's hardly a guest anymore. He's almost a co-host of the show. But yeah, we'll have a word with Jay, and then I just want to cover a couple of things about the format of the Cataclysm podcast going forward, which is changing as of this very episode. Over to you, Go.
We'll see how long it lasts. I'm betting we're gonna give it a try, but we'll turn back to our old ways, and it'll be an 8-hour episode next week. But,
it's not about time. I don't care how long it lasts. So it can be an 8-hour episode as long as we follow the format.
Mm-hmm. I'll try to move us along. I'll do my best.
Okay,
So it's an organised 8 hours.
It's an organised 8 hours. Yeah, exactly.
Organized chaos. Yeah, but yeah, it's that time of week. It's Friday, so it's hanging with the boys. We're here to have a good time. We're here to have a nice chat with each other. Maybe there's some information that you guys will take away from this. It's not a video, so it's not all nice, neat, and compact. We're going to be jumping around from conversation to conversation. That's how podcasts go. So just keep that in mind while you're watching. You know, there's probably not going to be timestamps.
Not probably. There's definitely not going to be timestamps.
Well, sometimes like the past couple, somebody's been putting timestamps for us down there, and it takes a lot of work. So anybody that does that, big shout out to you guys.
We appreciate
you. We've got Shaman Part 2. We've got a little bit more information to cover for the Shaman before the launch of Cata, the pre-patch in under 4 days now. And any super chats during the show, send us your hardest question for Majay. Tell him that his shirt looks nice. That's all I've got.
Cool. All right. Well, Jay, how are you?
Doing good. I've just ate a sweet chili chicken pizza, which was very, very nice.
Oh, wait. Speaking of pizza, who was it? Somebody sent. I think it was Lee. Do you guys eat hot dog
stuffed crust pizzas?
Hot dog stuffed crust pizza with like mustard on it?
Not mustard.
Yeah, I wouldn't have mustard on it, but I wouldn't have hot dog on the pizza, as in just the crust of the pizza has got one big hot dog inside the crust. So it's more pleasant to dip then.
Interesting.
Wow, your mind looks blown, Go. You're like...
I thought it was just Lee. I was like, nah, he's fucking with me. He's making this up.
I was talking... I think it was Riggs I was talking to earlier. I was telling him about the dipping the pizza in the curry when we were sat
so
at
good.
Wetherspoons.
So good. One of my favourite things. After a podcast, sticking a pepperoni pizza in, whipping up some Madras sauce or Vindaloo sauce, and then just dipping pizza in curry. Can't beat it.
But now that I said it out loud, and I'm thinking more of like a hot dog in a stuffed crust, it's kind of like what we call pigs in a blanket.
Yeah, I mean that's sausage and bacon for us.
Oh yeah, we don't do bacon. It's just like little Vienna sausages, almost like little hot dog pieces wrapped in a little croissant.
Well, welcome everyone to the new podcast. As I say, it's a different format. We talk about food now. So,
are you guys hungry yet?
So if you like to eat, this is the place to be. Okay, all right, cool. Jay, just before we move on, so Has anything changed for you that you want to touch on since the last episode you was on? Because I believe you somehow managed to convince yourself to change main.
Yeah, that kind of happened a little bit. I now have an enhanced Shaman that's kind of geared and pumping. Aside from that, nothing's really changed.
Good. But that's how convincing he was about Shaman in the Shaman video, in the Shaman podcast, that he even convinced himself to re-roll back to Shaman. I just thought that's quite cool. Right. So I want to touch on a couple of things. Joe already touched on one of them. For anyone who's wondering where the big, long 7-hour podcast done with the other night when it was it was set to private. It was set to private for a couple of reasons. Lots of snowflakes in the comments who couldn't take the way me and go talk to each other. That was a part of it. And then the other part is just the arguments between between us, the arguments between people in the comments. So I just kept getting spammed with comments and, popping up on my iPad and everything. And I was like, man, I'm just unlisting it. Like, I can't even be asked to read it. So please do comment and stuff, but try and be a bit constructive. Turning into people just arguing backwards and forwards in the comments. I get notifications. I don't want to read it. So I'll just put it out there right away. And secondly, there's been quite a few comments about the general lengths of the podcast being too long. I replied to one earlier on today about you're just slapping the podcast up and not caring, trying to remonetize it. I want to make it clear, if you're watching this now and you're not watching live, it's a live stream. This is not uploaded. This is nothing. This is like, as soon as we finish, we press stop and it's on YouTube. That's why there's no, there's no editing. There's no, I know this, for some people, this sounds really basic and you're like, yeah, we know what a podcast is, mate. But some people seem to be getting really upset in the comments that we go off topic and it's not like a video. It's not going to be a video. It's a podcast. We genuinely, and I don't want this to sound bad, we genuinely do this for us. Obviously, we hope you take something away from it. We hope you enjoy the conversations. We hope you get involved live in chat. But this is our time. This is where, we've been playing the game all week. We can get together, have a chat. What's the state of things? What do we think about this? What do we think about that? The polished videos is where the real information comes out. Do you know what I mean? So, just so you're aware. And then secondly, but on that basis, I would like to change the general format, which we are trying, and that's starting from today. Where I appreciate when we're talking about one specific topic for really, 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 a long time, we probably tend to stray more off topic because we're getting bored ourselves. As in spending 7 hours talking about heroic dungeons, it starts to get bored, So we're changing it up where we've got a very rigid format, and I just want you to all understand what it is now. So you can look at the thumbnail and be like, I want to watch that, or I don't want to watch that. So it's for you guys, so I wouldn't say, I just want to read that. I wouldn't take the criticism too seriously. WoW players just like to complain. Oh no, it was nothing about the criticism towards us. As I say, I'll just put that on screen. So if anyone's watching the VOD back, yeah, we don't care. But what I do care about is the community in chat all arguing like between themselves. Because it makes the comments just look like a toxic mess. And I don't like that, So if it comes to the point where we're just doing it live, and then when the live stream finishes, I unlist the VOD, and they're not there anymore, we'll do that. Because again, we don't do this. We appreciate super chats and all that to support us, to keep us doing it, but we don't really do it because we want to make money. We do it to get together and have a laugh, So I know this is a weird intro, but I want to just be clear. And be honest, ultimately, be honest with you. So I've got no problem at the end of every live stream, just unlist it. That's it. Cool. Or disable comments. Yeah, one or the other. But anyway, the actual general layout of every podcast from now on is going to be this. It's going to be the intro, and then we're going to leave. There's going to be no content. It's going to be me ranting at the start for 10 minutes, and then we're just going to leave. No, it's the intro. It'll be intro first to the guest and all of that. Then it's going to be the news. So if there's been any news posts, anything that we want to talk about there, then it's going to be class of the week. So it's all about one specific class. Every week we'll get a new person to come in. It might be a priest one week, a warrior the next, a druid the next, So from the thumbnail what class it's going to be, because the class of the week will be shown on the thumbnail. And then the title of the main talking point, which will be after class of the week, which will be main topic. So tonight, after we talk about Shaman, we're going to be talking about is the pre-patch ready? That will be on the title at the top of the thumbnail. So you'll know which class it is and what the talking topic is. And then you just have to sit through the intro and the news or skip through it, like whatever. And then outro, just saying bye. But that's it. Every episode is going to be the same. We'll have class of the week for an hour or so, main topic for an hour or so, and then probably an hour-ish of all the other just random bullshit, sort of thrown in there as well. Anything to add, Go?
Yeah, Griff was looking for the whiteboard. I got it right here. So throughout the show, I'm going to be posting live timestamps every time we change a conversation. As long as somebody super chats and reminds me, I'll put the timestamp right here on the whiteboard.
That weren't planned. I didn't even know he was going to mention that or anything. There was this one guy who said druids will be viable and better than paladins in every way. He had to be told what was what. I think his name was Go or something like that. Yeah, I mean, look, me and Go, we argue just as much during podcasts as we do off podcasts. It's all love. We're both passionate about the game. And, I hope that comes across. When we do argue, we're not actually arguing we hate each other. That is not the case. It's just we both feel strongly about things, and we'll have a row, but it's fine. We then just move on. So we've got super chats coming in already, Go. No, I'm not mad. You're mad, joke. Keep the content coming. Cheers, Nick. Thanks for the super chat. Simon as well. Thank you for the super chat. Yours will be on the screen in a sec. Go, are you actually writing down the people who are super chatting? What are you doing?
Is it backwards? Or is it coming through? Like, can people read it, or is it flipped?
When you say back, are you backwards?
The words.
Oh, the word. Oh, right. Okay, I was a bit confused.
Is it
readable? I can't read it. I can't see what you're doing.
Why is it tiny?
Tiny. I mean, I'll write it bigger.
Yeah, write it bigger.
So demanding.
Okay, write it bigger, and shall we move on? So yeah, because this has already been a nice ranty intro, but at least everyone's clear. So news-wise, can I just leave Go doing that, and Jay, me and you just take over for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool.
Go for it.
Well, what have we done today, Jay, that we need to talk about? The one big piece of news that we're going to cover.
I thought we weren't talking about that on stream.
No, the thing in-game, the in-game thing.
Oh, okay. Not the FaceTime.
No.
What we did Battle of the Blues, and we did some heroics. Both were fun. One was more fun than the other.
Yep. I found both of them fun, but yes, we did Battle the Blues, our guild. And Kigo was there in chat. Shout out Kigo. We had a couple of other people, but it was majority like our guild people on the stream over on Kick. So all the boys that was in the Battle with the Blues, don't feel too bad because it wasn't a loss. So let me just, I've got the VOD open so we can sort of have a chat about what happened. But yes, we done an RBG against Agron, Nora, Tim, whoever else was in there. Some of them didn't have their actual dev name in their real name. But they're cheating bastards. And Agron, if you watch him, not so much you. I had a lot of like 1v1s, 2v1s, normally in your favour, with you. You didn't seem to be cheating against me, so good job. But the rest of your team, mate, you should be fucking disgusted with. Like, honestly. So just to paint a picture, we was battering them. So we free capped at one point, and we're not with that much communication. We weren't on Discord. I was just streaming it on Kick, and everyone was just listening to where I was going on Kick and what we was doing. And Jay was sort of trying to lead in chat as well. Like he's saying there, like push Lighthouse. So there was a bit of voice comms, bit of in-game comms, but that was about it. But as soon as they realised they was about to lose, they turned on God mode. They were flying around the map to capture. We was getting hit by a warrior who had 1 million health, and he was hitting us for like 4 million. So, you can see in this, we get to 1,980. We're 20 points away from winning, and they're a good, like, 1,000 behind. And then they all, probably even Agrand, they all just turned GM mode on, started teleporting all over the place, flying all over the place. The warrior was shadow stepping around and one-shotting everyone. It was like, they went full on just disgusting. And we lost. But it was so much fun. Like, it was so much fun to really say, no, we owned them. You know, like, we destroyed them. They had to cheat. And a few of them was cheating all the way through. We'd kill them at the flag, and then they'd instantly revive next to the flag and start capturing it. But people in our, you know, we play with some serious people who take it very seriously. They were raging. They were like, "Oh, should we just leave? Like, fuck this! Like, this. What's the point if they're cheating?" I was laughing. Like, I thought it was quite sad. Actually, they should really feel bad.
The beta RBG rating is it's nothing to kid around about, Scott.
Yeah, and I was doing it with no glyphs because I was in such a rush when the battle with the blues was starting. I'd been in the house for 5 minutes. Oh, gifted membership. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I didn't see that anywhere. Oh, Openlander. Thank you, mate. Thank you for the gifted membership
as well. Yeah.
Cool. Write that on your board. But yeah, it was funny. Yeah, and obviously I wasn't taking it as serious as the other guys, but me and Jay, I think it's safe to say we was blasting. Like, I mean, felt like I was blasting.
You're banned from my RBG team come live if you're rocking up with no glyphs. Where's the preparation at? I bet you didn't even have a flask on.
I didn't have a flask. I barely... you might see now, actually, in this, you might see the warrior. I was playing about with the warrior at one point here. We ain't got to watch the whole thing, but yeah, the battle with the blues happened. The RBGs work. I suppose like that's a key thing. This one worked. We then queued for another one and got in, but it was against another random group, so we left. It was like, you know, we went on there to battle the blues. When we realised the second group weren't devs, we was like, we're going. Get Griff as well with the gifted memberships. That's the most gifted memberships I've seen in one podcast, and we're only 10 minutes in. It's
usually like one a month.
This is the warrior. He just hit me for 50k with an auto attack, and he literally looks like a bot. Like, just watch. He just stands there. He's a warrior. And did you see him just consecrate? Like, he's got ridiculous amounts of health. Like, you can't kill him. And then when he wants to kill you, he just looks at you and you just die. But he's got, you can see me just running in and I'll hit him and it does like nothing.
So all I'm going to say is at one point I 1v2 this warrior for a good 30 seconds with a resto chamois. And it got to a point where they both started like cheating to win. All I'm saying. Like, I feel like I could have won that fight.
Yeah. At this moment in time, I was just trying to hold it for as long as possible, just keeping them interrupted. But yeah, as I say, they really, if we just skip forward just so you can actually see then what happened at the end, and then we can move on. But we've done the battle with the blues. You can see here, look, we're on 1900. It's about to tick over to 1900. They're on less than 1,000. And then this is where they start like completely cheating. Like, we'll lose everything more or less instantly because they start flying around the map and just capping everything with God mode turned on. But it was an easy win. Like, we absolutely demolished them. But yeah, they couldn't handle it.
I do want to say, because like we're grouping them all together at the moment. There was a shadow priest on their team, and I have no idea who it actually is. I think the name was like Zalatra or something, who was actually a good player. And we had some good fights. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that basically a group of pugs with zero comms played this well. We actually played the RBG well as well. And the fact that like the last 20 points came down to how many cheats can we put on?
Yeah, look, I just got win. He just watched me get hit for 31 million.
Yeah, like
that warrior just literally 31 million. He's like, no, I'm capping this, sorry. So it got to a point where it was impossible to win, obviously. But it was around this point, like, you know, we was going to win. They then had to turn cheats on. They were flying all over the place. That's why I was looking up to see if there was anyone above me. But it was a lot of fun. Ultimately, devs stick to Season of Discovery because you can't play Cata. Oh,
I did see that the res timer was 45 seconds instead of 30. So that's just like an RBG thing, right? Like it's just a longer res timer, or is it supposed to be 30?
I actually complained about that.
It's supposed to be 30. I'm pretty sure it's because he died to like a PvE ability or something. Like, I'm pretty sure it shouldn't have been 30 more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just wondering if there was any bugs at all, and Scotty said that didn't really feel like there was any, so...
No, the Battleground seems to play all right. But
the Battleground seemed to play well. The PvP was good. We were in full PvE gear, which made it a little bit more volatile. But I mean, overall, it was fun. Like,
I look at the warrior. I need to know what dev it is. Like, I mean, if any dev watches this back, like, please just tell me who it is, so I can have a deep, seething hatred for him for the rest of my life. Because I look at that warrior and it just makes me angry. But it was fun. It was a good bit of fun. I really enjoyed it. I was mega, mega pleased, if I'm completely honest, that the devs actually, done it. Because I know they've got a lot on. I take the piss and say, like, all they're doing is worrying about Season of Discovery, not doing anything for Cata. But it was nice to actually see them do something for Cata. So I'm not going to take it away from him. It was a fun little event.
I'll take it away from him because I didn't do the event because I was at work. So it was some bullshit that you couldn't even get a PvP trinket. You couldn't get PvP gear from the vendors in the major cities like you could in Wrath when we tested Wintergrasp. It was a shit setup to this event. It was a bunch of bullshit. I got loads of whispers from people in game saying, "Hey man, did you see what's going on in these Battle with the Blues matches?" And I was like, "No, what's going on?" And they're like, "They're fly hacking." So maybe if you guys just
fly hacking,
maybe if you guys just mass reported them, then you could have got them banned, and then
you say that was literally how I started I mean, you might not have been listening, Jay, when we first started, but while we were sat waiting for it to start, I was like, let's all mass report one person, one of the devs, and see if we can use their own systems against them, where one of them will get kicked out. I know they could instantly just join back in, but it would have been funny to do. Cool.
We
okay.
got banned or something for like abusing the system or something.
Well, can we appreciate the fact that Chunk, shout out to Chunk if you're in chat, mate. He tried whispering one of the devs that was cheating, and the dev put him on ignore. I mean, like, it was funny. It was funny.
That's an achievement right there, yeah.
Getting put on ignore by dev.
Achievement. Yeah. Feat of strength.
The other thing
should be a feat of strength.
Yeah, officially banned, but yeah, officially put on ignore by dev. The other things, obviously the beta, there was a big wave that went out, like a massive wave, but obviously the RAF PTR is now updated to the pre-patch, so you can sort of go and see what your character will play like anyway, even if you ain't got the beta. But since this Battle with the Blues event, if I just go on this screen, you'll be able to see there's template characters now. So if you do get on the beta, don't make the mistake of just pressing create character here, thinking that it's going to be level 80, because there is a drop-down menu now. Sorry if that's basic, but just wanted to touch on it. So you can create a level 85. You'll be in full 346 heroic gear, and you'll be able to just jump straight into heroics and play about with your class, which is exactly what I've done earlier. I started a paladin.
I want to know who decided some of the gear. That's my only complaint.
Yeah.
Who decided what gear some of these classes get? Ellie Shami gets one DPS trinket.
Yeah, Blood DK got about 6 DPS trinkets and no... sorry, not Blood DK, but, DK in general. Got like 5 or 6 DPS trinkets and not a single tank trinket. I'm pretty sure someone said a Shaman got a wand. Or was it a paladin or something? Someone got a wand that can't even use it. Oh, was it Druid? Druid got a wand. Yeah.
I got a sword, I got a wand, and I got a shield. Like, what the fuck?
But overall, like, it's cool. Like, everyone, if you're on the beta, you can go and like do some 85 stuff without ruining the leveling for yourself. And the level 80 stuff, obviously, if you want to go on the PTR, you can start seeing what your character's going to do. That's about it from me. Go. for news related stuff?
There was no. PTRs or not PTR. The launch is under 4 days. That's the only other news. And I touched on it earlier, but I'm sure we have a lot more people tuned in now. So pre-patch is right around the corner. Like for real. Get those lockouts in for your Raptor mounts, your Tiger mounts in ZG, ZG, whatever.
Zedga.
Some scumbag made me double check when the release was.
Yeah, it's May the 1st. So I got to be honest with you. When I looked at it, I think it's a shame that they're not doing a global release of the pre-patch when there's only 20 days. Yeah, I know they don't normally. I'm not saying like, but doing when it's such a short pre-patch, I think it would have been nice for it to be global, because I do feel sorry for the EU guys that are going to be like watching all of us that play on NA having like a full day of pre-patch, and by the time EU even get it, like there's going to be people that are already level 80 on goblins and worgens on NA. I know it's not a big deal, but it would have been nice if it was all at once.
Yeah, I can see that.
Anything else like news related? I've not got anything.
We haven't got any blue post updates or nothing, so yeah, just the same old stuff that came out from original Cata. The world's gonna split, the shattering's gonna happen, talents reworked, quests reworked, lore master achievement kind of changes a little bit because of how all the quests change. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just the basics.
Cool. All right. Well, now you're we can move on to the class of the week, which is going to be Shaman, and this is going to be, you can take this as like the second part of the Shaman deep dive if you like. So we're not going to touch too much on. We might fly over the basics just in case you're watching and you didn't see the first part of the Shaman video. So we'll have Jay just fly over the basics. And then dig a little bit more into like the nitty gritty of the talents and the glyphs for an hour or so. The next hour or so is going to be very, very Shaman heavy. So if you're not here for Shaman related content and you're watching the VOD, it's probably time to fast forward. Jay, you've gone back to Shaman, having more or less made your mind up that you weren't going to be one. So what's took you back?
I'll be honest, actually, the last Shaman deep dive, I got a lot of love after the podcast from people, and a lot of asking why I wasn't playing Shaman, and the only reason I could really give was
I don't want to.
Went back. Well, it wasn't that I didn't want to. It's that I've kind of played Shaman now for a while, and thought, mix it up, play something different, and then all I've been talking about is flipping chamois, and it's like now I want to play one.
Good.
So yeah.
I'm glad
I have 4.
I would have been very worried on the basis that we're going to be playing together in Cata. I would have been very worried at you going Warlock anyway, because I would have just been counting down the days until you turned around and said you're going Shaman. It's like it would have happened at some point, inevitably. All right, cool.
Well, I'm still having a Warlock. Like, it's not disappeared, but yeah, like Chamois is going to be the one I spend the most time on.
All right,
one of the 4 chamois.
Let's do a quick recap then, Jay. Again, I'll just literally leave you just to fire everything off. If you could give like a brief overview of, Ellie enhancement resto. For anyone who didn't see the last video, just like real new abilities, each spec's strengths, just a real sort of top level view on all 3 specs.
Okay, so in terms of general things that chamois get as a whole, Spirit Walker's Grace is probably the biggest one. It's like I believe it's like a 15-16 second duration ability on a 2-minute cooldown that allows you to cast while moving. It's just crazy. All 3 specs can make use of it. In PvP, it's very, very nice for just being able to like heal on the move or things like that. You then have Unleash Elements, which uses your weapon imbues, so Flame Tongue, Frostbrand, Wind Fury, Earth Living, that allows you to amplify those effects in a certain way. So Flame Tongue increases the damage of your next fire ability. Wind Fury increases your attack speed. Earth Living increases the healing of your next direct heal. So, you can use these to your advantage in different ways for different imbuements. But it's cool that it all comes down to one new spell for that. And then going through each spec, Ellie is getting Mastery is going to be our Elemental Overload. So we already have Elemental Overload in Wrath. It's going to be a slightly buffed version that can be scaled past the point of where it is in Wrath. So lots of duplicate spells, which is nice. We get Fulmination, which is probably the biggest change for Ellie's in terms of single target. Every time we cast a lightning spell, so Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt, we have a chance to gain a stack of Lightning Shield, which we can expel for big damage with Earthshock. So it turns us into quite a heavy hitting spec. It's one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game, which we'll actually use for certain fights. We gain, Chain Lightning just has no cooldown, which is one of the best changes for Ellie. You just pump unlimited lightning out, which is awesome. We don't take Earthquake. It is a new ability that gets added in Cata, but we don't take it because it's bad. We also have a very, very short cooldown Elemental Mastery because we get cooldown reduction on it through lightning spells. So overall, very synergistic and fun spec. Enhancement gets massively hard-hitting Lava Lashes, which is very, very satisfying in itself. Tonight at level 85 with some throw-on 85 gear, I was hitting 55, 60k Lava Lashes. Just feels really, really meaty and hits hard. You get AoE Flame Shock, so you can spread your Flame Shock with Lava Lash as well. Fire Nova works on your Flame Shocks now rather than your Fire Totems. So you have insane amounts of AoE kind of sustained cleave and damage as an enhancement Shami. Aside from that, they don't change too much. They go back to the traditional Wind Fury Flame Tongue setup, so more physical than kind of the Spell Hunt stuff, which I'm really, really glad for. I hated Spell Hunts. They kind of still cast spells, but it fits with the theme of it now. In terms of Resto Shaman, then, we get Spirit Link Totem, which is a weird cooldown because it's very underutilized until you find a point where it's amazing, and then it's just the best cooldown in the game. It equalizes the health of everyone that's inside it. So if one person's at 100% health, one person's at 1, you come in, both will be at 50%. You can use it to soak tank busters and things like that. For solo tanking raids, it is going to be used and abused in a massive, massive way. Aside from that, Resto Shaman doesn't really change at all, other than with the fact that we get access to kind of the Atonement Resto spec, which allows us to spam Healing Rains out for the raid and do a decent amount of damage, keeping 100% mana, and be able to keep everyone topped off with healing as well. So yeah, cool. That's about it, really.
Cool. Okay. So what did we speak about the most in the last podcast? I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about Resto. I don't feel like we spoke a great deal about enhancement, so maybe we should start with the nitty-gritties of enhancement, and on the basis, like, everything's fresh in your mind because we just smashed loads of heroics. And yeah, I mean, Jay, like you said, he was doing big crits, he was doing big damage. I mean, it was me, Jay, and a mage, wasn't it? It was Chunk. And pretty much every fight. So I was playing a Rep Paladin, Jay was on an Enhancement Shaman, and every fight was me and Jay just battling for the top. And when we was battling for the top, it was never, if he was top, we're talking tens of DPS, wasn't it? It was like we was close, like consistently, other than when there was a shitload of ads. And then it was just like, enhancement is just, there's nothing you can do about it, Enhancements sort of passive cleave, because it don't really change their single target rotation too much. They just pump. It's incredible. So, but yeah, single target boss fight, very, very close. Ret and enhancement. I mean, we both had no gems, no enchants, not optimized gear or anything. It will look very different when, we're actually optimized. I mean, I weren't hit capped, expertise capped, none of that, and obviously nor was you.
Well, no. So actually, I was. I managed to get hit and expertise capped with the pre-made gear with no gems, which I think contributed a lot to how much damage I was able to do on the boss fights. And I want to do a lot more testing, because as it is at the moment, I genuinely think that as we start picking up more pieces of gear, everything from that point on is going to turn into mastery for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at a point at the moment on the PTR where I was on the beta, where I was hit capped, spell hit capped, and expertise capped. So every additional stat after that, I don't have to worry about either of those two. It just goes into raw damage. Now, the mastery for enhancement increases all of our elemental damage, fire, frost, and nature by just an X amount. Okay, so we have a decent amount of haste just built in. We still get flurry, which means our attacks are very quick. Crit is not something that we really prioritize very much. We're going to have a decent amount of flurry uptime anyway. But mastery then turns into just so much extra damage for us that actually I think I'm really questioning how bad. Because, I mean, I've talked bad about Enhance, and it's kind of why I've wanted to play one, is just to see how far I can push it. I've played one at kind of end of the first raid tier, but played Ellie for most of it, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how much I can scale Enhance, because I think I'm going to be able to compete with like the big single target players as Enhance, which, if you'd have asked me that a month ago, I'd have said no chance.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's good.
All right. Well, so what about, should we cover key talents? I mean, we can go through the enhanced tree, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of like talents where you just don't need to think about it. So if you want to just highlight key talents that are super important for enhancement, and then we'll make a build. As in where it'd be nice to give people an idea on what you think will be like the enhancement sort of pre-patch build. Because when you've got the 5 less talents, for some classes, it makes a big, big difference.
So one of the big talents that I'm going to highlight straight away is the second row on the left, Elemental Devastation. And this is why crit is not something that we're going to overly prioritize, is because you are going to be casting so many spells: Flame Shock, Earth Shock, Storm Strike, Lava Lash, Fire Nova. You're going to be casting so much, and then all of your Maelstrom casts, that you're going to be critting a lot, and that's going to give you the extra 9% melee attack crit as well. So you're naturally just going to have a lot of crit. You're eventually going to go into Acuity as well, which is the top left of the elemental tree. So you're naturally going to be getting around 12% crit just all of the time. Which is really going to keep up your uptime of flurry. Static Shock is one that you're going to have to keep an eye on, because it consumes your lightning shield. Oh, it doesn't actually consume a charge, but it uses your lightning shield orb. So you're going to want to make sure you always have lightning shield up and active. If you don't use the glyph, which you don't have to use the glyph, then you can drop it to boss damage and things like that. But that in itself can do a decent amount of damage, and again, scales with your mastery. Like, basically everything enhancement does, the mastery is just like a pure damage multiplier. Searing Flames, which is the one below Static Shock, means that you're basically going to want Searing Totem up all of the time. And it's a weird spec in that you no longer use like Fire Elemental. Fire Elemental isn't actually going to be the best for us in almost any situation. If in single target, we're going to want to be running Searing Flames, Searing Totem for Searing Flames. In AoE, you could run Fire Elemental Totem, but you would have to get the pack to live long enough for it to be worth it. Otherwise, you're just going to Magma Totem. Improved Lava Lash then is what I was mentioning earlier. Spreading your Flame Shocks around gives you a lot of extra damage as well on your Lava Lash ability. So single target, they just hit like an absolute truck with it as well, which is so fun. We still get Maelstrom Weapon. Wolves is... I use Wolves more as a defensive cooldown than an offensive cooldown now, which feels weird, but they just don't do enough damage, unfortunately.
So one thing I've heard, as I say, obviously, Enhancement Shaman is definitely not my bag. I've played it a bit, but I've not got a deep, intricate sort of, understand the intricacies of the class, whereas you will. With Searing Flames, because it stacks 5 times and it lasts 15 seconds, from what I understand, is that actually makes putting your Syrian totem back down lower priority, because as long as the dot is actually on the target and it's fully stacked up, it's not like Syrian totem drops, bang, you need to quickly get another one up. You have like that window where actually you'd be better off pressing something else. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's not something you basically want the dot to be up for every lava lash, effectively. So lava lash consumes the dot. So if you have 15 seconds remaining, but you use a lava lash on the first second, then the dot's going to disappear. You're going to want to put Searing Totem straight back down.
Mm-hmm.
Lava lash is going to be something that we heavily prioritize in a rotation. So, you're probably not going to go the full 15 seconds without wanting to have the totem back down. But in general, yeah, as long as you've got the buff up, it's not your top priority to renew Searing Totem.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I was just checking because I've seen a lot of people talking about it and wanted to make sure it was the case. Yeah, because it makes sense. If you've literally just done a lava lash, you've now got 10 seconds before you can do another one. If it happens that your totem's going to go while you're waiting to lava lash again, yeah. How fast is there any other talents you wanted to touch on? Because there is a big key thing that I think people are going to want to know.
Not massively. Like in terms of the enhancement tree, it's pretty self-explanatory as to where you're going to want to go for different things.
Well, so let's just talking 85. How fast paced is the spec? Yeah, a lot of people are like, Frost DK Enhancement Shaman, one of the highest APM classes, which is action per minute for anyone who doesn't know. Do you feel like you're having to sort of be methodical and think about things, or do you feel very spamming your keyboard, just hit anything that's available? What does it actually feel like?
I would say, so you'll probably understand this better than most people. I would say that Rep Pally is faster paced than Enhancement Shaman and Cata.
Okay.
It's not the RSI, you have to press 7 million buttons a second spec anymore. So in terms of a rotation, you have 2 shocks, which you'll pretty much rotate through. You keep Flame Shock up, then you use Earth Shock as your other shock when you need it. Storm Strike, Lava Lash, and then you have your Lightning Bolt. Fire Nova is there as a single target DPS increase, but it is low priority now. It's not going to be the top DPS thing that you need to be spamming. You're not going to be trying to renew your Magma Totem every 20 seconds. You're not going to be keeping Lightning Shield renewed every 30, 40 seconds. We've actually lost a lot of the button bloat and the high APM part of what Enhance was in Wrath. So we're not using Shamanistic Rage generally either. We don't need the mana reduction. So we do lose actually quite a lot of that spammability of different things. I noticed that hit an expertise cap means that I was getting a lot of Maelstrom procs. That was something that, now running Wind Fury, you can get 5 stacks of Maelstrom almost back to back to back. So that felt a little bit more reactive. But generally, I don't think it's that fast-paced a spec anymore.
Okay.
So, Jay, I was at work. Our league season just ended. If you guys don't know, I work at a bowling alley. I'm the head mechanic there. And I had to pick up the cases of pins, and I had to totem to the behind the totem. Majay, can you tell me about totems and how you weave totems and what totems for each spec of totem you need? Isn't there a fire, a wind, and an earth and a water? Which totems are you using?
That was a really good segue. Go. Thank you for that.
You. Yeah,
how long did it take to come up with that? I
just want to ask. I just
sat there for 5 minutes silent,
just waiting. Just one question, and then we'll go on to the totems because of Go's amazing segue. Shaman, so you said you don't use Shamanistic Rage for mana anymore. So I'm assuming it's purely you can almost use it exclusively as a damage reduction cooldown, for boss mechanics.
Yeah, 100%. You use it as a purely defensive cooldown. So if you just have a look at the abilities or the passives that enhancement comes with as part of the spec. Primal Wisdom is how you maintain your mana in Cataclysm. So as long as you're hitting something, you're going to be keeping mana fairly high and safe throughout the entire expansion. And again, the quicker you get to expertise and hit cap, the quicker you're going to have access to more mana through Primal Wisdom.
Yep, that makes sense. So the whole totem thing that Go is really proud of.
So totems are pretty locked in terms of enhancement shamans, what we're going to want to run as default. So in Earth Totem, we have kind of 2 buff totems that we're going to run depending on what the group comp is. So it's either going to be Strength of Earth, which is, strength and agility, or it's going to be Stone Skin, which is shared with Devotion Aura. On a lot of private servers, Stone Skin actually stacked with Devotion Aura, so it became my default totem. But if that I haven't actually tested if that works on beta yet. I don't believe it does, but I haven't tested it. So it's going to kind of depend, but one of those 2 will be your default Earth Totem. We also typically run the Glyph of Stoneclaw Totem as well, which allows us to have another defensive on a 20-second cooldown, which makes Enhance going from like one of the squishiest specs in Wrath to actually one of the tankiest specs in Cata. We have decent amount of armor. We have, a very low cooldown defensive in Stoneclaw. We have my brain? Shamanistic Rage as well as a defensive. Yeah, so we have a lot of defensives now, and the fact that we could just chuck a heal on ourselves on full health, heal ourselves immediately.
While you're talking about Shamanistic Rage, I mean, the glyph looks absolutely insane. The ability also cleanses you of all dispellable magic debuffs. I mean,
yeah,
that's really nice.
It's good in certain scenarios. So like there's sometimes where there's just no magic debuffs and it's completely useless. But there's other times where it's like, PvP, that thing is god tier because it's a 1-minute cooldown as well.
Yeah. So
glyph.
Yeah, it's only a major. It's only a major. Yeah, it's not even a prime.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to Go earlier, because I just had tea. So to Americans, if you're watching, you think tea is just what we drink. But tea for us, we say, oh, I'm going to have tea. Tea is in dinner, your evening meal. So earlier when I ate tea, that's a good point, actually. If we go over what your talents will look like at level 80, let's do that first. So in the pre-patch...
I usually drink tea, but I've never ate tea.
So during the pre-patch, brilliant. What are the talents going to look like for an enhancement shaman?
I'm almost disappointed, but also so proud.
Thank you for the gifted membership, Joel. Cheers, man.
Joel, legend.
So I'll go through them very briefly, and I can talk through any parts that don't make sense, but on the first row, we're going to be taking all of the talents, so elemental weapons, focus strikes, and improved shields. Second row, we're going to be taking 3 points in flurry, 3 points in elemental devastation, and 1 point in totemic reach. Third line, we're going to be taking 1 point in storm strike, 3 points in static shock. Next row, we're going to be taking 3 points in searing flames, 1 point in shamanistic rage, and 2 in unleashed rage. Then we take 3 points in Maelstrom Weapon, 2 points in Improved Lava Lash, and then Feral Spirits.
Okay.
Now, that's your enhancement tree. You don't really need too much extra. You can put an extra point in Totemic Reach if you want it. It does make Searing Totem a little bit less annoying to use in certain scenarios. Think Professor Putricide, where the boss moves quite a lot. Sometimes he's just going to walk out of your Searing Totem range and it can be quite annoying. But I generally only run with 1 point in there, or I don't run with a point in there at all, and I put it in Improved Ghost Wolf. In terms of your other tree, then, you have the option between 5 points in Elemental or 5 points in Resto. So if you're going to go Elemental, which is the higher damage spec, you would put 3 points into Concussion and 2 points into Acuity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to go Resto, then Spark of Life is double dips. So it increases your healing done yourself and increases your healing received. So that combined with Maelstrom Weapon is just insane in terms of the amount of self-healing you can do. So it's something that really gets overlooked when you're like soloing stuff or leveling. Like while I'm leveling, I'll probably be switching to resto as my off spec. So I'll be enhancement and resto just for having Spark of Life.
Okay, cool. But for max DPS, we're talking ICC. Boys are raiding pre-patch night. We're going into elemental here. 2 acuity, 3 concussion. Does it feel pretty bad playing without improved Ghost Wolf from Ancestral Swiftness? Is that just personally, what little I have played Shamans over the years, I'd really miss that talent.
Depends on the fight, to be honest with you. So you could drop improved shields and take 2 points in Ancestral Swiftness, 1 point in Totemic Reach, and just completely drop improved shields. It's a slightly less DPS spec, but you're going to have the mobility and utility.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get those melees crying because the Wind Fury totem isn't in range. Your Healing Stream totem's going to cover the whole raid in terms of resistances with a glyph, or your party in terms of healing. So it does bring a lot more utility, taking points out of improved shields, and you lose a minor amount of damage. It's not going to be anything crazy. But in terms of just pure raw DPS, having the improved shields is going to be better.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just more or less asking the question for, people who, are probably thinking, man, I really want improved Ghost Wolf. At the same time, what would I drop? So that's cool. So this would be your level 80 build.
Yeah, I mean, again, so controversial, but you can actually get rid of Shamanistic Rage as well, if you really wanted to. Again, we don't need it for the mana. We should be hitting expertise capped in pre-patch anyway quite easily. So you could lose Shamanistic Rage. You're still going to have a defensive in Stoneclaw Totem, and you would have 2 points spare that you could take out of Totemic Reach as well for Ancestral Swiftness. So again, it's kind of a little bit of personal preference. You have 2 or 3 points you can play around with. But again, I probably won't be using that.
Oh, fair. Okay. So then you got 5 points left. So now we're saying you're level 85. Does any the enhancement part change at all? Now you've got extra points, or is it purely just in the secondary trees?
It's mainly going to be in the secondary trees. So we're going to go 3 points in Acuity, 2 points in Call of Flame, and 2 points in Reverberation. And that's typically going to be your level 85 build.
All right, cool. Yeah, makes sense. Any questions, Go?
Well, I'm trying to catch up. You said Elemental Precision? You were putting points on that, right?
No, Reverberation.
No? You don't... that seemed like a gimme.
So,
free spell hit?
Yeah, but we don't have any Spirit.
It does increase... It is 3% damage overall, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can take the points out of Reverberation, and you're not going to lose massive amounts by doing that. The main thing you are going to lose is the 10-second cooldown reduction on Wind Shear.
Right, okay.
So, it's... I think in terms of what sims best, Elemental Precision will be the best.
Yeah.
If we're talking purely, looking at a Simcraft meter or whatever, it's going to be, or Warcraft logs. It's the people at the top are going to be running Elemental Precision. They probably would even take a point out of Call of Flame to put it into the 3 points of Elemental Precision as well. But in terms of, not griefing your group, Enhancement and Elemental Shamans are going to be like the key people for interrupts in a lot of Cata. It's a spell. So we should naturally be spell hit capped as well. And the fact that we have a 5-second cooldown interrupt is just insane. And we can use it at range as well. So not having Reverberation, there are going to be times where you are just griefing your group by not having it. And the reduced cooldown of shocks is pretty nice as well.
Was it Pally that you were talking about, Scotty, that would feel really good to go in as like a holy Pally to interrupt?
Yeah, as a holy paladin going in and interrupt. Right? Yeah, but a paladin.
You got like Death Knights probably interrupt pretty quick too. You got rogues that are kicking. So like, I feel like if I were to play an in-hand Shami, I'd be like, guys, you handle. I'll have a longer duration. I'll be back up. And my shear is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going.
Let's say
precision.
Certainly for just hitting level 85 and going to heroics, that will be my build. In terms of what I go to raid with, you're probably right. I will probably pick up elemental precision.
There you go.
But
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I think generally I'm going to be having the reverberation for most. Certainly the beginning of the tier.
Is there any point to go down the resto tree instead of elemental at 85? Is that more
for PvP
defensive? Just PvP.
So for PvP, again, picking up Spark of Life is kind of insane. Ancestral Resolve you can use to kind of soak big hits. So you just start casting as if you see like a Chaos Bolt coming in, you just start casting. It's a 10% damage reduction. Nature's Guardian, obviously giving you max health, similar to Elemental. We're going to pick up all the stuff that gives us kind of crazy amounts of increased survivability, and Focused Insight's actually crazy good as well for enhancement, because of how often you're getting effectively free heals through Maelstrom weapon. Combined with Focused Insight, you're getting 30% increased healing effectiveness, mana back if you have used any mana. It's just bonus in every different way.
All right, I'm going to show you how little I know about Shaman. Why wouldn't you take Totemic Focus to have a longer Fire Ellie duration?
You don't use Fire Ellie.
You don't use Fire Ellie. So it's like
no. So if you look at again in the enhancement tree, Searing Flames increases every time your Searing Totem hits the target, it applies a stack of this debuff, stacking up to 5 times.
Oh yeah.
The Lava Lash combination with that is what does so much damage.
Could you time it where you get 10 seconds of a Fire Ellie? Would that be worth it? So like you Lava Lash, wait till it's built up. I don't know how long it would take to build up. I wondered if you could even get a few seconds out of it, if it would be worth. I don't know.
By the time you've spawned it, it's cast, because it normally casts a Fire Nova when it spawns anyway, and then it's going to run to the target and start attacking. I mean, you might get a couple of hits off of it. I tend to use Fire Elemental if I can't melee the boss. So think Nefarian while he's up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You can pop a Fire Elemental just beforehand underneath, and the Fire Ellie will just sit on the floor and attack the boss. So you can keep DPS up on the boss throughout the entire phase with a Fire Elemental. Atramedes is another one. I use it when he's flying around. Fire Ellies can still hit the boss there. So can Searing Totems, but again, as long as you're getting your Searing Flames up just before the boss comes down, then you've not lost anything.
And one minor thing as well, when I was looking at the Ellie tree, so let's say for max DPS we're going Elemental Precision. For just an overall raid spec, would it not be worth losing 1% crit and keeping the 20% extra damage from Fire Nova? So like taking 1 out of the crit and only having 2%, but then getting all 3% damage in Elemental Precision and still keeping all 20% on Fire Nova. I'm thinking like purely for, Maloriak, for example, if we're going to talk bosses, Maloriak, when you got all the ads that you can AoE down, like, would it feel pretty bad losing 10% Fire Nova damage? Like, would it feel worse than losing 1% crit?
For any time you're cleaving, absolutely. It would feel horrible to lose Fire Nova damage. So yes, for things like Maloriak, if you are going to be attacking the ads and not just kiting them around, then yeah, you'd probably want to be the cleave spec. Again, I think a lot of it's going to be personal preference with crit. You're going to want 100% uptime on Flurry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as it is at the moment, if you sync your weapons, Flurry only consumes 1 charge. That still exists in Cata. So it's not too bad to be able to try and maintain Flurry at the moment. And it's only going to get easier. Later on, then you're going to start taking points out of acuity left, right, and center, just because you're not going to need them. So that is just going to be free points that you can use. But certainly at the start, just making sure that you're getting crits with your spells to proc Elemental Devastation. I personally like the acuity play. But again, if you ever cleaving, then yeah, you want that 2 points in Call of Flame.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, it is very... Well, at the moment, we're saying personal preference. I think, I'm trying to put that out there I've got some class videos, like class-specific videos that are going to be going out soon. and I say in a lot of them, you know, like this is what we think at the moment without reliable sims. I can tell you what Simcraft said back in 4.3.4. That is not classic Cata, you know. So a lot of it is going to be, yeah, very much this is how we feel it'll work because of what our experience on private servers, but. You know, it's Cata Classic. Literally, you know, after 2 weeks of phase 1, they could do something. They could change something to completely change what you're gonna want. You know, a glyph they could add. Yeah. They could change it so you can have Fire Rally down, and Fire Rally will add the Searing Flames ability. You know what I mean? As in, it'll put the dot on.
Don't get me excited.
But you know what I mean? It kind of sucks that you've got your big you know, your big sort of totem cooldown and you can't use it as enhancement. So that's the sort of thing. If enhancement was struggling, I'm not saying it's going to, obviously it looks like it's going to perform very well. But if it was struggling, that would be quite a nice, easy fix for him, wouldn't it? To be like, well, you can actually use your big cooldown now and you're going to still get Searing Flames.
100%. I am worried that if they did that, we'd start getting weapon swaps back in the game again. So swap into like a spell power weapon to snapshot your Fire Rally to come back to melee weapons. And yeah, you'd start getting some memery there. But in general, I mean, that would be an amazing addition.
Well, speaking of weapons, Slod asked, what are the enhance imbues that you have on your weapons? Because I always forget about those things. Like Death Knights have them and Shaman have them.
Yeah, so we go back to Wind Fury main hand, Flame Tongue offhand in Cata. And will be that for the entire expansion. Assuming nothing majorly changes, but.
And what are we looking at glyph-wise for enhancement? Is it clear cut on every boss, or is it you know, did a prime glyphs ever change?
So I really like. So I'm going to talk specifically dungeons to start with. I really like Glyph of Flame Shock. Because there are some packs, especially when you first get into heroics, there are some packs that live longer than a Flame Shock. So just having that glyph means that you can keep not having to worry about reapply it and respread it. Bearing in mind that's 2 globals. You could just worry about Fire Novering and the damage on it is insane. But in terms of just raw actual damage, we're going to be running Storm Strike and Lava Lash and Wind Fury Weapon or Feral Spirit. So you have a couple of choices. Wind Fury Weapon is better for single target over the course of a long fight. Feral Spirit allows you to get a little bit more out of Spirit Walls with snapshotting and gives you a little bit more burst damage, but overall Wind Fury Weapon is going to be better for a decent length fight. Anything over about 30 seconds, Wind Fury Weapon is just going to win.
Okay, so yeah, okay. So Storm Strike, Lava Lash, Wind Fury Weapon, single target, and we could see some crazy shit potentially with Feral Spirit. Yeah, big attack power snapshots. What about major glyphs? I mean, you've already mentioned Stoneclaw Totem. I mean, I really can't get over Glyph of Shamanistic Rage. I think that's absolutely amazing. Even though, yeah, it is obviously very situational, but you've got yourself like a mini bloody Cloak of Shadows almost. I know it's only magic effects, but like it's still like that's insane.
And also a DR, like it's like we're doing that. We're removing all magical debuffs, and it's also a damage reduction. So it's kind of crazy. We have a couple of different options for major glyphs. So again, dungeons, Glyph of Chain Lightning is not something to be sniffed at. Being able to hit 5 targets, but it does slightly less damage. You're going to be using Chain Lightning as your default spender on trash packs. Fire Nova increases the radius of your Fire Nova spell. Again, kind of crazy. If you are running improved Ghost Wolf, then Glyph of Ghost Wolf gives you a little bit more movement speed just instantly. Healing Stream Totem being able to give you Fire, Frost, and Nature resistance generally is kind of nuts. Glyph of Healing Wave, I use this all the time during like initial heroics. This will be one of the glyphs I use. I'll spend Maelstrom stacks to help heal the tank, which is also healing me, keeping both of us alive. And you can get some majorly big heals with a Maelstrom weapon. Lightning Shield, just in case there is any raid damage, making sure Lightning Shield never drops off other than duration. Obviously, Shamanistic Rage. You have so many options. Stoneclaw Totem is one I've mentioned as well. Gives you a 20-second duration, 20-second cooldown, kind of like a fifth of your health defensive. So I think it's going to be a case of kind of looking at a couple of different ones and seeing what you need to bring. So my defaults are always going to be Healing Stream Totem and Stoneclaw, and then probably Lightning Shield. But again, generally, like, you could switch to different things depending on your group setup. And I will be switching between glyphs majorly. I mean, Glyph of Grounding Totem, you know, that's something that you can use in heroics and just soak a cast of something and reflect it back. Like, it sounds very minor, but for early heroics, you have so much utility in your major glyph slot.
The Shaman major totems are insane. Like, they really are, like, disgustingly strong. You know, like, where, yeah, when you was going through them all, I'm like, yeah, I'd use that. Yeah, I'd use that. Yeah, I'd use that. It's like, wait, I want to use 7 of them. There's only 3 slots.
Yeah, that's the issue, is that you don't get to just go, oh, okay, I'm going to run these 3 in every situation ever. Like, you may actually have to switch between them. So Lightning Shield's probably one that I'm going to be running a lot of the time, as well as Stoneclaw Totem, with the third one just being completely flex.
Cool. I'm assuming the minor glyphs are not quite as impressive, although actually I take that back, they are. Go on, yeah, minor glyphs.
So minor glyph, you're always going to want renewed life because it's just quality of life, just everywhere. In terms of everything else, if you're PvPing, you always want to have Glyph of Water Breathing and Glyph of Water Walking. And the reason is they are purgeable buffs. So you can buff yourself with them at the start of a fight, buff your partner with them. In a BG, you just buff the whole team with them. And it's something else that can be purged off you. So you're kind of purge protecting. Aside from that, I mean, it's just quality of life things. Reduce cooldown on Astral Recall, remove reagent costs of obviously water breathing, water walking. You can change the appearance of Ghost Wolf. So there's a couple of nice little things in there. In terms of what I'll be running, I'll probably run the 3 remove reagent things, to be honest.
I would do exactly the same, especially when, you know, you've got Astral Recall, you've got Half Stone. Half Stone, when you've got the bonus, is only 15 minutes if we're actually going to get that. It should only be 15 minutes, showing 30 on the beta. Why? Hasty Half should be in the game, right?
Are you in a guild?
No, but I've got some of the other guild perks, so I just assumed I would have them all. But Bountiful Bags is showing, and that was taken out. I need to look at the guild perks after this, because some of it seems to have changed. But yeah, you should have a 15-minute Hearthstone. And then what's the cooldown anyway, basic on Astral Recall? 15
I believe
minutes.
It's 13 minutes, or is it 15 default now?
15 default, apparently, yeah. So, I mean, you kind of don't need to waste the glitch slot.
Yeah, it would take you down to a 7.5-minute Hearthstone, which is kind of outrageous for just no reason at all.
I tell you what, it'd be mega useful, though, for archaeology in the pre-patch. You know, being able to, every 7.5 minutes, being able to get back to Ogrimmar or back to wherever, you know, if you wanted to set your Hearthstone somewhere like smack bang in the middle of the map, let's say you was archaeologying in, I don't know, Eastern Kingdoms, and you wanted to set your Hearthstone to something like, I don't know, Searing Gorge, or, yeah, someone where that's like right smack bang in the middle of the map, so wherever you are, you can always skip half the map then to get down. That could actually, yeah, could be quite useful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it. I can't think of any other use for it. You know, once you've done archaeology or you can fly, but
I'd probably leave mine in Dalaran, to be honest, and just have a central hub as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, there'll only be the Ogrimmar, well, there'll be the Ogrimmar portal and Caverns of Time for us, or obviously, yeah, Stormwind and Caverns of Time for Alliance. But yeah, no, awesome. I've got nothing to add on enhancement at all. Go, anything?
No. Enhanced sounds good.
I was worried that you was going to be. I was worried you was going to be sat there going mental. What about elemental?
Oh, elemental. That is on the left side of the talent tree here, and it's a caster. So I always love talking caster talk.
It's basically a better Boomy. If we're being honest.
Hey now.
Well, it does single target better than Boomy. It does AoE better than Boomy. It does burst better than Boomy. And it looks cooler. So
You're just trying to rile me and Scott up. You're like, hey, I'm going to play Enhance against your Rhett, and you're going to play Ellie against my Boomy. I see what you're doing, and I think we both accept your challenge.
Yeah.
I think I win both of these. That's the issue.
I saw your Lich King fight the other night when you called.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Oh, no, we're talking about it.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. We shouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't even do Jay like that. Like that's yeah.
I didn't even see him on the meter.
No, nor did I. I mean, the healer was on top, above Jay. What? What? I think I feel like in the first part we did talk about Elemental quite a lot. But if you want to just, again, even the overview that you gave, like Elemental. I don't want to say it don't change that much because people will be like, oh my god, yes it does, this, that, and the other. I mean, if you want to cover like the key talents, but would you recommend to level as Elemental? That would be my main question. Like, if people have been playing Ellie during the pre-patch, during Wrath, sorry, and they're like full BIS ICC gear Elemental, would they still be better off using their off-spec enhancement gear that might not be as good to level with, or?
I mean, if you have no enhanced gear, it's not completely grief to go Ellie. But for me personally, I have 2 geared shamans. One is elemental, one is enhanced. The enhanced one is going to level significantly easier. Maelstrom weapon is a hell of a drug. Just being able to survive, like I'm never going to go into a situation or a quest, elite quest, anything, and feel like I'm not going to be able to just solo it as enhance. Whereas elemental, there are times where I'm going to have to focus on killing it before it kills me. I'm not going to just be able to out heal it or kite it forever. I mean, they are very good at being able to kite things, but yeah, generally I'm going to be leveling as enhancement. I think it's just the strongest spec for leveling.
Call me crazy, but could you not just take Earthquake? It's on a 10-second cooldown and has a chance to knock the target down. So if it's an elite, and you just pop an Earthquake kiting, knocking the elite down, sounds like a pretty easy kite.
So it does negative damage is the issue.
It's the CC though. It's that knockdown.
But it's a 10% chance.
Does it slow too? If
no.
It doesn't slow, then
no.
Okay.
So you could combine it with Earthbind, and you would have, a combination of such. But yeah, I mean, in terms of kiting or elemental for leveling, you're just going to be running Unleash Lightning. So you're going to do your entire rotation pretty much on the move anyway. So with Earthbind and Frost Shock, you could pretty much permanently kite one mob. But the issue comes if it's like a big elite or can't be slowed or, I don't think you're going to struggle to level as any of the Shaman specs. But I think for me personally, Enhance, I'm going to be pulling 5 mobs at a time. Whereas Ellie, I'm probably not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that as Boomy either. I'm pulling like 2 max. And the only mob I've had a trouble with was today. The mob in Tolbarad, the shark called Tank.
Yeah.
That was the only mob I have not been able to solo. Like it has 500,000 HP, and
yeah,
I couldn't kite it, couldn't stun it, couldn't root it, couldn't hibernate it. So yeah, that was my downfall. But up until then, you can kind of snare and stuff everything while you're questing. It's kind of nice.
You should have tried Feral Go. Probably would have helped you.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think is going to perform better in the pre-patch, Jay? If you had to hazard a guess, we're talking a full ICC RS BIS enhanced versus a full BIS Ellie.
Ellie.
Oh, you still think Ellie will perform better?
I think we're going to snapshot a Fire Elemental in pre-patch, and it's going to be hitting the boss for 30k a hit. I think our Fire Ellies are going to be competing with actual Shabbies in terms of DPS. Okay. You then combine that with the fact that you're going to have like your first Elemental Mastery during Bloodlust. I would expect to get that Elemental Mastery back within 1 minute. So we're going to have 2 rotations of Elemental Mastery within 1 minute. We're just going to be able to hit so much. And I think Fulmination is just going to absolutely crush damage.
Okay. Well, someone said earlier in chat that at the moment on the beta, fulmination is actually a DPS loss. I don't know if they was trolling or it's not working properly, or but someone definitely said it quite a while back when we was talking about it originally.
It certainly wasn't, or it shouldn't be. Although, in fairness, in pre-patch, I haven't really done much testing with it, so I don't believe that it would be. But I mean, who knows? I haven't actually tested it myself, so I can't really say too much on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're only so pressing Earthshock once every however many seconds. I mean, it must. Is it doing substantially Hadding? Obviously, I'm talking to you. Is it doing substantially less than a lightning bolt? Is it? It's worth more to cast lightning bolt at the moment. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. As I say, it must just be doing a hell of a lot less. In which case, fulmination you could essentially drop during the pre-patch then if it's not. But then again, I'd still want it anyway, just for PvP, or you want to burst something down quick, where it's about to die. You've got full charges. Like, there's probably still use cases, but
yeah, I mean, I'm literally logging into the PTR now to go and have a look, because I don't remember it being the case. I remember fulmination hitting very hard. So if it isn't actually hitting as hard as it should be, then it might just be a bug.
I mean, it could be if we're talking strictly level 80, it could just be literally scaling issues. With the way everything is at level 80. 85, it could very much change.
It should be 6 charges of your lightning shield plus Earthshock damage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then that sucks. But I mean, it also makes Ellie just, all of our damage is going to be lightning bolt. Well, a lot of our damage is going to be lightning bolt anyway. So, it's not something I'm expecting that we're going to miss too much if that is the case.
Cool. We've spoke about, and we really did speak about Elemental in, it's coming back to me now in quite a lot of detail in the first one, didn't we? Because we spoke about Unleash Lightning, being able to do your whole rotation on the move and all of that. And I feel like we've done a lot of resto. It was really only enhancement that we was missing. So unless you've got anything that you want to add, Jay, we can move on.
Not really. I mean, I think Shammy in general is in a very good place in Cata. And I'm really looking forward to playing all 3 specs. I plan on playing all 3 specs. I'm going to be leveling my 3rd Shammy soon to play resto. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of going to be great. And I'm looking forward to trying to take Enhance as far as I can take it.
I think they look great. Like, personally, yeah, even the glyphs. It's actually the first class when we've done these deep dives, even though this technically isn't a deep dive. It's a class of the week, and I think I used to calling it that. It's the first one where I've looked at multiple glyphs and been like, man, like, that is actually quite a difficult choice. Like, the choices on a Rep Paladin are very easy, or a Holy Paladin. Well, Paladin in general is very easy. Mage is very easy. Even Druid, I would say, is very easy. Like, I don't feel like you get this amount of utility from your major glyphs, even as a Druid, with the strength for some of these.
Yeah, the amount that we can pick up is just insane. Like, there is so much utility there that Shammy has.
Cool. All right. Well, Go, anything to add on Shamans before we move on?
Yeah. There was that one thing that I had posted in the group chat about the idols, or what are they called? Relics.
Relics.
Oh, relics, yeah.
So there was one thing that I realized, it took me way too long to realize, for druids, that our idols are going to change in the pre-patch. It's not going to have that, like, on, or not an on use of the, like, the proc effect from our idols. How is that going to change for Shaman? Like, are you using or losing a lot of like bonus effects from that just turning into a stat stick in the pre-patch?
We're going to lose a good amount of haste, but gain intellect. So overall, it should be a DPS increase. The one thing to note is that currently enhancement is using the elemental relic as well. So you're going to get, you're probably going to get griefed a little bit as enhancement, because you're going to want the agility one, which no one is currently using. So that might be something to pay attention to.
Cool.
But yeah, basically, we're not going to be losing that much. And in fairness, I think it will probably work out to be a DPS increase generally.
Yeah, mine was like a lot of crit. It was like 5 or 6% crit that we lose, and then we just gain like some intellect, the socket from the prismatic socket, and like something else. And I was like, yeah, okay, it probably evens out, but
we're losing like 230 haste by not having the glyph.
Yeah,
it
is actually one of very few Cata changes that I don't like. I do like the old, Libram Idol Totem, where you've got like stacking buffs or chance on hit stuff. I don't know, just made them feel a bit more unique. Now they are all literally just, they're just a stat stick, same as it's like a mage or a warlock using a wand or whatever. It's a shame, but I suppose it makes life a lot easier for them, doesn't it? Back in the day, that's probably why they done it. It was like, well, what do we do with them now? It's like, I'll just turn them into stat sticks.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I lost my first idol drop to a shaman, and I was like, really? This is how it's going to go? And I'm going to lose it to a paladin next run? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's Shaman. Thanks, Jay. I know, like, we've done a good few hours on Shaman now in total across 2 podcasts. So let's move on to the main topic of the show, which is the pre-patch actually ready? Which is quite a scary thought on the basis that, as of this moment in time in the UK, with me going to be playing on NA servers, it's 3 days away. What's your
3
thoughts?
3 days, 21 hours.
Yeah. Call it 3 days.
I mean, the PTR isn't ready.
21 hours.
The PTR, no, the PTR definitely is not ready.
So we have to hope that they are ahead of us. But as it is at the moment, the PTR just isn't ready for Cata, unfortunately.
People might not understand why we're so concerned about the PTR not looking like it's a playable version of the pre-patch. It's because in TBC and Wrath, at this point, the bugs were fixed. We were able to go on there and like do the old raids and stuff like that. I think we were at least testing. We were and stuff.
We were raiding on the Wrath, the beta at this moment in time. Yeah.
And it was maybe little tiny things that were bugged, but there's still things that were bugged from day one that haven't been fixed on this version, this beta. So that's why we're so nervous, because the time is ticking down, and I want it to be fun. It's going to be 3 lockouts of ICC Ruby Sanctum that we can go in there with our new talents and just completely blast through those dungeons and get a little bit of loot to help us get from level 80 to 82 before it's replaced by questing gear. And I love doing that sort of stuff. But if it feels buggy, it's going to feel bad.
My main worry, and the main worry that just ain't going to change, and for anyone who obviously watches me stream normally, I'm going to sound like a broken record. But my main worry is the raids. And because, what is it? It's Friday, so pre-patch is going to be on Tuesday. Where is this raid test going to be? If the raid test is not Monday, I'm not going to want to log off the pre-patch. It's only 20 days. It's such a short pre-patch. I'm not really going to want to waste time to go and test the raids. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people in the same boat. I think I'm going to struggle getting 10 of us together to actually log off the pre-patch. Like, everybody's got their plans set on leveling archaeology and getting as many frags and keystones as possible in those 20 days, getting their alt leveled so they get to play through all the new zones and get a goblin or a worgen done. Just that alone, if that was it, if that's all we're saying, you've got 20 days to do those 2 things. That's not long, man. You start taking, if you're someone like you go, you get in from work at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever, you're not going to want to then sit down and go on the beta, for 2 or 3 nights on the trot, because you've got things that you need to get done before it actually launches.
Yeah.
So just to, I mean, it's kind of a mix between the two conversations. I've actually just been doing some testing currently on beta and PTR, and fulmination just doesn't work on PTR.
Oh.
Like, the actual talent doesn't work, which explains why it's not worth casting the ability. So I don't know who mentioned it, but whoever mentioned it is completely correct. The talent isn't working at all on beta. On PTR. On beta, it is working. And to give you some idea, like, fulmination is critting for 25k. My normal lightning bolts are 8k.
What's your lightning bolt crits?
13, 14k.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
So,
it's
like,
substantially
bear in
higher.
mind, Earthshock as well. I mean, non-crits. Earthshock's hitting for 3.3k, fulmination for 11.1. So, between the two, if either one crits, it's a DPS increase. If neither of them crit, it's worth, about the same as one lightning bolt crit. But it's also only one global cooldown. But yeah, it just isn't working at all on the PTR, which worries me a little bit.
But there's a lot of things still not working on both the PTR and the beta, and like some of them I'd like to think are really easy fixes. So like I don't want to like focus on them too much, but the fact that like none of us have been able to leave a dungeon, like without using a script, something like quite minor. You would have thought when they realised that was a problem, they instantly just fixed that. You would have just thought that's so easy, to enable us to actually leave a dungeon. Even like the teleporting into dungeons, the amount of issues there's been with that. Professions are in a right old state, and again, I know it's very difficult to tell what is intentional and what's not. But people who are doing like yellow crafts at the moment and not getting skill up points, people who are crafting orange crafts but from Wrath of the Lich King are not getting points. I've done ridiculous amounts of crafts with engineering and not discovered a single tinker. I mean, the list goes on. Obviously, the heroics are in a state. Like, at least one or two bosses in every single heroic is not working how it should. I know that's not relevant for pre-patch, so I do want to more focus on the things that are relevant for pre-patch. But yeah, it just has me worried. But my biggest concern is the actual... Obviously, we know they've rushed it for whatever reason they've rushed it, but was the RBG testing tonight, as fun as it was it actually where the time should have been spent? Like, should we have actually been raid testing between now and pre-patch to get a good 4 days, of results, and then that's it. They just work based off that.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to even step into a rated battleground for another month. So it's like, why are we testing that a month in advance, but we're not testing the raid a month in advance? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me most. And again, even now we've got the character templates on the beta, even though they could very easily just go, okay, the raids are open now. The heroics are still not working. Like before the raids opened, I'd have liked to have seen the heroics working. Before the RBGs were being tested, I would have liked to have seen all the class fixes actually, so all the classes are doing what they're meant to. Like you said earlier, Go, about Hurricane is not even benefiting from one of the talents. I can't remember which one you said.
Moon Fury, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got broken stuff. Obviously, mages. Every dot class, I still don't think dots are critting at all.
Yeah, it's not for Boomy, yeah.
No, so and combustion is still not working for mage. Flame Orb is still not working for mage. And again, like Flame Orb, you're not going to have in the pre-patch, but combustion, you are. These are just things that should be working. They need to be working in the next 4 days. So that's what I'm worried about. Oh, Kirby said that his dots crit on the PTR. So okay, maybe they're critting on the PTR, but not the beta. I've not done any testing really on PTR.
My Flame Shock is critting on PTR, but not on beta. I've also just respect, so unlearned everything, respect, and now my fulmination's working.
Okay. Ellie crits on both for me. Okay, so maybe it's working on the PTR and not the beta. I mean that's at least a little bit reassuring. Combustion's not working on the beta. I've not tried Flame Orb. Well, I will try Flame Orb. But yeah, overall, when I saw the post go out earlier on about the release date of pre-patch, and it was EU specific, saying it is May the 1st, I did look at it instantly and thought they're delaying it. And then I looked and was like, I see you. All right, cool. But I don't know. I feel like we're getting so close that unless they are going to put their launch it, knowing that this thing's wrong, which I'm fine with, quite honestly, launch it with combustion broke, cool. But I just want to see a post where they say these are the things that are not working. We've got to get pre-patch out because we've agreed that it's coming out on this date. These are the things that are going to be top priority. A day or two, it'll all be working. I'd be fine with that. But at the moment, we don't know what they know. As in, because they're not actually communicating, they're not putting developer update notes out. We don't actually know what's on their radar and what's not on their radar, which is the worrying thing. And I know we're all reporting the bugs and that, but yeah, I think Blizz just need to put out a little update on what they know is already issues.
I mean, it's even simple stuff like you can't even scroll down in your glyph menu. You have to sit there and click on the bar and drag it down. It's just a little minor thing, but I feel like they're kind of radio silent because they themselves at this point don't even know what's going to be available to launch. So they don't want to say, oh yeah, this is how this is going to work, and it's bugged right now, and they don't have time to fix it when it goes live. So they're like, oh yeah, let's not announce this because it could bite us in the ass.
Yeah, I feel like the mindset is no communication's better than bad communication, which I disagree with wholeheartedly, but I can understand, this is a company that's recently been bought by Microsoft, who is a bigger company. They're going to want to, they're not going to want the bad publicity, and it is going to be seen as bad publicity. While we'd all appreciate the honesty, if they turn around and said, actually, none of this is really in a releasable state already, but we're working on it, how much is that going to backfire on them? So I kind of understand it, but also by the same logic, just talk to us.
Is that you?
No.
Oh, I'm jumping up and down in front of an Ellie Shaman on the PTR. I thought it was you.
It is me.
Oh, it is you. I thought it was. Go. Do you want to say thanks?
Yeah. Man Bears has a question for you, Scotty. Do you think we'll be able to level archaeology to the Wrath of the Lich King level in pre-patch? When I logged into the PTR, I couldn't learn it in Stormwind. And thanks for the super chat. And Scotty, take it away.
Yes, thank you for the super chat. From what I've heard, again, I've been spending all my time on the beta, not the PTR, obviously. But from what I've heard from multiple people, yeah, archaeology isn't on the pre-patch. It's not on the PTR, but it will be in the pre-patch, and yeah, you'll absolutely be able to get to 450 in the pre-patch when it launches. I've done some archaeology myself. I know Chunk has maxed archaeology and made several epics already. He's got the epic ring, epic shield. I'm talking like the 359 epics. So, we've done quite a decent amount of archaeology between us all, and it works fine. I've got no concerns around archaeology at all, so I see absolutely no reason why that won't be ready for the pre-patch and being. That's actually one thing that I'm quite, confident with. It's like, I've not seen any bugs when I've been doing it. Go, you've done a bit of archaeology as well, haven't you?
I got up to 150-ish, and I have no idea what I'm doing with archaeology. I know you're supposed to save your stuff before you craft the relics or whatever, the artifacts. I think when I got to 85, I wasn't getting skill points from the dig sites, but I saw somewhere that you're supposed to get up to
100. Yeah, it normally would be 100.
So maybe that was just me, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I don't know if that's really a bug. Maybe it's just less frequent. It's not a guaranteed point from digging stuff up once you get to a certain level. I don't know, but it just seems like it's going to take a lot of time. And it's like you were saying earlier, I'm not going to want to stop leveling up my archaeology to test the raid. It's going to take hours on hours to go around the world and get all those fragments.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I mean, the things like my concerns genuinely do actually lie more around launch than the pre-patch. But yeah, again, for me, I just don't want to keep saying the same thing. I don't want to drag it on too long. You know, for me, we just need communication from Blizzard. That's it. Just telling us what the issues are, what they know about, and then I'll instantly not be worried at all. Because I'll look through the list and go, yep, that's a problem, and be like, oh yeah, all right, well they're on it. They know what all the problems are. But like, there's so many. There really is, like, class specific problems. There's so many.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? The last piece of information we had of Blizzard saying, yes, we're fixing these bugs, was they listed like 7 things, and some of them were very, very minor. Some of them weren't even bugs. They were just, this isn't its final release date, and nothing's changed since then. You know, the last piece of information we've had that is similar to that was so open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can show you as an example of just something that's been bugging me a lot. And this is really minor, but it should work. Like, as a mage, obviously you've got your teleport button and you've got your portal button. Now, ignore the fact that all the portals and teleports are still in the spellbook. Like, that's a PTR thing. They're not like that on the beta. But you can't put the teleport icon on your bar. Literally, every time I want to do a portal or a teleport, I either need to use OP. I'll be using OP in actual release, so it's not going to matter. But yeah, at the moment on the beta, I have to constantly just go in and click and spellbook clicking teleports and that. So like, again, it's not a big deal, but there's lots of these like little minor things that have probably been reported hundreds and hundreds of times.
Inspecting people still doesn't work on PTR.
No, it doesn't. No, yeah, it looks like just all the slots are empty. That's not been working either. So
I can't see your tellers now, actually. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I agree with you in that if they just spoke to us and said, "Look, this is what's happening," then fine. I can deal with bad news. I can't deal with no news. Like, because how do I plan for stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, and
is
exactly.
the raid going to be available on launch? Is it going to be 2 weeks after launch? Like, when are we going to step foot into Bastion of Twilight for the first time? When are we going to get into Tolbarad for the first time?
Yeah, and what are all the other things?
Because with an accelerated schedule, are they just going to have that available on launch, or are they going to gatekeep it a week or two like they have for Wrath?
I really hope they gatekeep it for a reset, 1.5 resets.
Yeah, I think that is the assumption. I think the assumption is, from most people, is that it's going to be 1.5 resets.
But it shouldn't be an assumption, I suppose, is the point, right?
No, none of it should be.
Known.
Like, let's face it. So when they announced Cata, they had these like 5 or 6 really generic selling points that were going to be the new classic Cata experience. That was accelerated leveling between 60 and 80, heroic plus dungeons. What else was there? I'm trying to think about the real key thing. Oh, obviously accelerated cadence.
Guild system.
Yeah, updated guild system. So far, if we go through those, they've told us nothing about the accelerated XP system. Yes, we've gone out and kind of worked it out between ourselves, what it looks like, but no official communication of them saying it's been cut by this much, blah blah. Which surely, like, they should tell us, not us tell them what it looks like. The Heroic Plus, we've heard nothing about. Like, even if they said, yeah, you're going to get Heroic Plus, but, it's not going to come until Phase 2, and it's going to work like this. Just some information of what the Heroic Plus system is. And what was the other thing? Guilds. Yeah, I mean, they've butchered the guild system and removed leveling, and we're all sat here, like, assuming that that's right. Like, this is what they're actually, wanting to launch. But on the blue post that went out when... on the 8th of April, I believe it was. They said, like, or 9th of April. It was early April. They said, like, the guild system is a work in progress. You'll see it in game, but it's a work in progress and it's going to have bugs. But we don't know how much of a work in progress. Is it a work in progress as in that is actually how you want it, but there's some bugs? Or is it a work in progress as in we know that there's a lot wrong with it and you can't get guild levels or anything like that anymore, but that's going to change? That's the thing that's doing my head in. Like, we're just having to guess at what's right and wrong. How can we report things and test things if we don't actually know what's right and what's wrong anyway? With something that's new. They said they're going to redo the guild system. How can I report something being wrong with the guild system when they've not told me what it's meant to do?
There was another thing too. I just logged on to try to go see, but they said that the auction house was going to be
Streamlined.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so wasn't there?
Been.
I don't know if there was rumors that they were trying to move it to the retail system for the auction house, which I wouldn't be against, but again, comes down to communication, right? Like,
yeah, it looks exactly the same as it does in Wrath, which I kind of prefer. I don't want like the retail auction house. If you want the retail auction house, get your add-on. I don't want to use an add-on.
No, if you want the old auction house, you get an add-on.
I get the classic AHUI.
Yeah.
But when you say, like Jay, you said, I've heard a rumor. It's like, yeah, you've heard people speculating what they think it's going to be, but Blizzard have said nothing.
Yeah.
We still just don't know.
Exactly.
I was with you. I'm with you though. Like, I assumed it was just going to go to the retail style auction house. The only thing I don't care about the UI. I use Auctionator. Like, I don't care what the actual frame UI looks like for the auction house. I would like to see it cross faction, so a realm wide auction house. That's the only thing that I'd like to see. Yeah. So if you're on a dead server as an alliance, and it's a horde predominant, not a dead server, but a dead side of the one-sided faction servers, you can actually still do your professions and use the auction house. That's about the only thing that I'd like to see changed.
Scott, there's a neutral auction house. If you go to Booty Bay or Gagetzan and Tenaris.
Gagetzan.
Gagetzan.
The thing about retail AH is you don't need to think when posting shit. Yeah, Hadin. I mean, that's pretty much why I use Auctionator. Because I don't need to think when posting. That's perfect for me. Struggle thinking. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, we ain't got to drag this. We've spoke about this type of thing loads of times. If I was to say completely honestly, based on the beta and the PTR, do I think it's in a pre-patch ready state for in 4 days time? I'd say no, quite honestly.
So, okay, let me kind of flip it a little bit then and say like this. If they turned around tonight and said, look, we're not in a position where we can release it in the state we want to release it, we're going to delay it, what would be your guys' thoughts on that?
I'd say good, yeah, as long as you launch it and it actually works. Like, yeah, I'd be fine with that. Me personally.
Since it's enough time that I could change my leave that I've already put in for at work for launch, then okay. But if it gets down to, like, if pre-patch launches with bugs and then they wait until the last minute to delay the Cata launch, and I've already requested off work and I can't change that, then that's when I would be upset. So as long as I have time to change that, but some people could have taken off work for the pre-patch. Like, when I mentioned it like a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh yeah, I took off work, and Scotty was like, well, oh, for the pre-patch? And I was like, no, for launch. And so, like, I'm sure there are some people that are ready to level up like 3 new, like, troll or worgen or whatever classes, and they took work and they took leave to do that, and they could get screwed.
Yeah, the same happened with Shadowlands. When they delayed Shadowlands, everyone was raging about it. Me personally, yeah, it wouldn't be good. I'm not saying it would be good. I'm not saying, like, please delay it, Blizz. Like I said earlier on, I'd be happy with them launching it and there's things that don't work, but they just tell us that they know about those things. I'd accept that. But yeah, Sax, before we just get onto the super chat, Sax, this whole myth of the PTR's a few weeks behind, I don't know where this comes from, but what's it behind? There's bugs that have existed since day one on the beta, so it's not like we're behind now. We've still got exactly the same things wrong with the beta since the day it launched. So the beta must be like, yeah, the beta's an expansion behind. So, like, that,
yeah, they're actually testing mop right now.
That whole, like, oh yeah, but Blizzard have got a much more up-to-date version. It's like, we'll see about that. Because if they have, why hold on to it? Like at the moment, you're literally getting plagued with bug reports on stuff that you may have a fix for already and we don't know about. It's counterproductive.
It's not even that. Like, it's an opportunity for Blizzard to win. You know, if they turn around now and say, "Don't worry, guys, we've got the fixes there," that's a win. Like, surely they would take that, right? Even if they said we're not quite ready to release the patch, but here's the patch notes. You know, here's the preview of patch notes. That is a solid win for Blizzard right now when they are just getting absolutely harassed from every angle.
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but I think that's a good idea. Yeah, they're like, look, we know that you've got these issues, but here's all the things that are fixed in the build that we're currently internally testing. Win.
Yeah, and like, absolutely. But they have to be able to, and this is why they are not going to do that, and I can tell you exactly the reason, is because if any of those things that they've turned around and said, this is the stuff we fixed, then doesn't work, they look stupid twice.
Yeah. I think it's too late for him to worry about
that. And that's the thing. I mean, like I said, as it is at the moment, they just got to talk to us. Like, not talking to us is doing more damage to them.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, if we see some dev interviews for Cata Classic and it's to some knob that only plays Season of Discovery and they have no idea what questions to ask and it's just we get no information out of the interview, I'm going to be a little perturbed. I hope that they reach out to somebody that actually has been playing on the beta and they get an interview from that person.
Well, we know it's not going to be me. I'm not spoiling.
Yeah,
I'm not spoiling why. Kick chat. No.
I'm proud of my second knob there. Thanks, Slod. But Tom with the super chat asks, what's your take on pace they have planned out for Cata? Does it feel like they're rushing through it to get to MOP? Let us not pretend like they won't do MOP. They 100% will. My theory was they were trying to have Cata Classic and Season of Discovery end at around the same time and then try to merge the two player bases together into whatever it is. Maybe it is going to be some sort of MOP. Maybe it's going to be Season of Discovery 2 or something. But yeah, I'm not sold that it's going to be MOP.
Oh, I'm 100% that we're getting MOP.
Yeah. I can't see that they'd have done Cata without MOP being on the cards.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous.
Personally.
I would have agreed with you guys if they didn't just do this MOP time walking thing for retail.
Yeah,
like,
that's completely different. That's not MOP.
Why would they have retail do it and then?
But they
did that. Come back.
They did that for the storyline. That's to do with the retail storyline going into the War Within.
Okay.
That's why they've done it, is to refresh people on storyline so that they can reuse that storyline or parts of that storyline going into the next expansion. From what they've said, that's from what they said. But yeah, I mean, I imagine that we're just going to get, like, I can't see that MOP is going to be any slower than this Cata is, to be honest. I think it's still going to be very fast paced.
Was MOP a long expansion to begin with? I can't remember.
Yeah. So again, they had the same issue in MOP that they had in Cata, where they, like, Siege of Orgrimmar, the final raid tier, was just so long for no reason. I actually think it was one of the longest raid tiers we've had in WoW. Someone might be able to correct me on that, but I'm pretty convinced it was one of the longest raid tiers we've just had in WoW in general. And yeah, so, like, I can't see that we're not just going to go through that at the same pace that we go through Cata, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Just give me pet battles in Cata, and then I won't need to play MOP. I'll be a happy camper.
But that's how we're getting you to play MOP.
No. You're muted, Scott.
Sorry, I was saying, the problem is, you said you weren't going to like Cata, and you're enjoying it, and I can honestly say MOP is better. Cata's great, MOP is better.
So far, you've played more mop than I. You've played more Cata than I have. Like,
I gotta check
don't
my
lie
Slash
and think.
played.
I mean, you could definitely check my Slash played. You've definitely played more Cata beta than I have.
Well, I reckon
yeah,
we can round it out if everyone's happy. We've been going for a couple of hours. It was nearly a couple of hours. We smashed through the Shaman pre-patch again. I just don't want us to just drag on, just complaining about the same things that we've complained about, for weeks. We will probably, or not probably, we definitely should maybe do a podcast, a pre-patch podcast, maybe the day after that. EU's got it, so like on a Thursday or something like that. Once everyone's had a chance to play it, and we'll see what it's like, and get together and talk about what we was right about, what we was wrong about. We could literally all be eating our words and pre-patch launches, and everything's perfect, and we're like, cool, well done, Blizz. I don't know what we was worried about.
We'll all be clicking our keyboards while we're talking with our mics queued up while we're doing like dungeons and archaeology. Will this be said there?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything from anyone else before we?
Yeah, today's Friday, which means tomorrow's Saturday, and
well done. I'm very proud of you.
You're getting a clever boy, mate.
I don't want to give it away. I want to kind of keep it under wraps, keep it a little bit subtle. Speaking of subtle, he's going to be our guest tomorrow for a DK discussion, right, Scotty?
Yep. Yeah, he's confirmed. So yeah, it'll be class of the week again. We'll go through. It'll probably be mostly DK though. Like the DK section will be massive, but we may have some news of some description or something, to discuss. But if not, yeah, mostly DK.
Was it just subtle, or do we have anybody else?
Just subtle.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's all we need, really. But
yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, you can find everyone's links to their channels in the description, and it's been a pleasure. They do work. Thank you for all the super chats, guys. Again, it does mean a lot.
Amazing tonight. Yeah. And people joining as members tonight. There was like 5 members. Like, what was going on?
Yeah, members, all good. Anything, everything, just to keep the podcast going. It's, as I say, it's not essential, but it does. It does. It helps a lot. So cool. All right, Jay, anything to say?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to sort of shout myself out a little bit. This weekend, but before pre-patch comes out, I have all 3 specs covered in terms of everything you need to know for pre-patch, stat priorities and specs and buttons and all that good stuff coming out on the channel. And the first of 3, I'm doing encyclopedias of each spec so that you can just reference them for the entirety of Cata. So the first of those, which is Elemental, will be coming out in the next couple of days as well.
Awesome. So every Shaman, well, not even just Shamans, Cata enjoyers in general, make sure you go give Jay a follow. And obviously, if you're not already, which I'd imagine most of you are, go sub to Go as well, because, Go has shifted his priorities a lot recently, and he's spending a lot more time on Cata than Season of Discovery. So we will riot in his comments section to get his banner changed.
Oh, man. Do I level my archaeology or do I change my banner?
You've got time to get the banner done. You've got a few days, mate. It's fine. Get the banner done, then level your archaeology.
Do you have a banner maker?
Yeah, he's called Nest.
Oh, okay.
Weirdly enough, Nest has accidentally made my banner as well for my channel recently.
Oh, has he?
I changed my banner. I changed my banner like yesterday, because Nest sent me a screenshot, and I went, "I'm having that."
Nice.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.
See you all tomorrow.
Yep. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Leave it awkwardly for a minute so they get to actually hear the goodbye. Stuff. Yeah. I'll pause my music and then go to the ending screen. Cool. Ciao.